It's been a while since we last got a champ that generated so much worry, or, well, memes, in terms of how much a champion can do and what they shouldn't do. Briar, Nafiri, and Milio have been accepted rather fast, no, I'm not including Casante, due to their kits being rather simple and straightforward, with some unique stuff mind you, but nothing that could fundamentally break the game in a meaningful way. Until now. So today I'll be talking about our new mage, Hwei, the Visionary, and try to discuss whether or not his design has been done correctly or if he is doomed to be one of those unbalanceable 200-year champs. As we all know, Hwei is out on the PV, and I've been playing him and watching others play him a lot to give my opinion on his kit from a design perspective. Before talking about his kit though, I have to congratulate the art team for the amazing work they have done with Hwei. His base model, the VFX and sound effects are all amazing and very pretty to look at. We finally got an artist, no Jin, you don't count, go away, and it was definitely worth the wait. Moving on, first let's introduce him. Hwei is a burst mage with the possibility to cast 3 different abilities for each of his normal abilities. As you can see, he can cast 3 combinations for each one that can vary in effect, though they have some similarities. For example, his Q spells are all big damage abilities, his W spells are all utility, and his E abilities are all hard CC. Now, to compensate the options he has, his base movement speed is only 320, which is the lowest in the game, and he also has 18 base armor. And the only mobility tool he has is WQ, which is a small movement speed buff. He has very clear weaknesses, which is a good thing. Other champs with similar infinite outplay potential like Yasuo still need to have a clear weakness for them to feel fair. First, I want to take a deep look into his ult, which is rather simple compared to the rest of his kit, being a skill shot that deals damage over time while it expands and explodes. Very cool visually, but it falls a bit short in comparison to his base kit, at least in terms of the extinction. Still, leaving it simple is probably for the best. Usually you are aware of ults and not basically abilities as much. Having to be aware of 3 possible ults as the enemy is probably a bit much. Onto his base kit, his passive rewards aggressive commitment. When you hit 2 of his abilities, his passive deals some damage. Simple burst mage passive, but now it comes the good part. His Q, as I said, is your primary damage tool. QQ is a medium range fireball, QW is a long range snipe that deals most damage if the enemy is slowed, and his QE is a low wave clear tool that also slows. The thing that I like the most about his Qs is that their usage is very clear and distinct. You're going to be using each one of them a lot, as they serve very clear purposes which I love. QQ is your more standard trade tool and poke tool, QW is an execute that's best used when the enemy is CC'd, as I said, and his QE is mostly for wave clear, but also quite good if the enemy is stuck in an area or as a zoning tool. His Ws are all utility spells, his WQ is a movement speed for you and allies, WW is an AoE shield zone, though the ally shield is very low, and his WE restores mana and enhances his auto attacks. Great trade tool and helped his high mana cost early, and at the same time it forces Hwei onto riskier positions which he usually shouldn't thanks to his range. Again, each one of them have very clear uses, though I may say his WW could use some improvements. The shield takes a while, and the ally version is too low to really be useful as an AoE protection. You generally want shields to be reactive rather than preemptive. At the same time, the range is kinda low. Overall, the ability is fine, but his WQ ends up being more useful most of the time as a team utility, but it's mostly a numbers issue. As a side note, it's worth mentioning that Riot has said that Hwei's secondary role is support, but with his low ally shield and overall low cooldowns, it's very doubtful he will be viable there. His team utility, while decent, it's not close to other mage supports, and his lane presence is nothing compared to champs like Lux, Helcos, Karma, etc. I have to say that personally I would love to see him viable besides mid lane, but honestly I just don't see it happening, only time will tell. Back to his W. I like that they made very unique spells despite him being primarily a mage, though it's sad to think an enchanter would have loved to have WQ or WW on their kit. Next, his E. Yeah, here's where I have some issues. They're meant to be the hard CC spells, but they end up falling short to differentiate enough or to be impactful overall. EQ is a single target fireball that fears. You're going to use one this a lot. It's an amazing self-peel tool and it combos into his QW for great damage. Be aware though that the cooldown is rather high, so don't spam it or you will get ganked and die. His EW is a zone that if it hits an enemy, it will root them. The problem is that it's so slow that it's really not going to happen against anyone that knows what it does. It does serve as a vision tool, but losing your main CC spell for that, considering the high cooldown, is just not worth it. This is the spell I like the least, to be honest, and the one I guess is going to be useless, not for being niche, but just for being bad, to be honest. His EE is meant to be the AoE CC spell, but it's just a short range drag. That helps, but I almost never think of using it before EQ, unless the enemies are already grouped up, because the size is not that big enough to serve in that way, to be honest, and the damage is not high either. Overall, I do think his E needs some work, but we will see how it pans out on release. And you can see, every individual spell is rather simple, but the decision making is what's going to set apart the bad and the good Hweis. His control schemes are simple, but it will take some time to get used to, and his cancel spell mechanic is just an extra which you do by simply pressing R after pressing Q, W or E, and it has some small tricks to it as you can bait enemies into thinking you're using another spell. To sum up, I love what I have done with Hwei. We got a new 200-year champ that feels unique but with clear weaknesses for the enemy to exploit, and even though I think he will need some work and will definitely be a bit hard to balance due to pro play, I am more than happy that Riot take these risks in terms of design. These are the champs that make champions design worth investing into, and I hope he follows the recent successes Riot had. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, follow me on Twitter and Twitch, and I'll see you again on the next video.